41976 Xavier 2. That's called crossing path. And that's how an entity is stalking. That's how the government, in other words, is stalking. And doing so on foot. This is also identifying stalking. And you identify that as a group. This is psychopathic pacing. A fake sun. Okay, this is the crime scene where you recognize the mentally ill that are engaging in surveillance, and they are literally stalking one person after another. And this is an entity that's engaging in that, which is a stalking society. Where they engage in this crossing path 7SNY281. An impossible light touches me up here, which is impossible. They're all demons. They're not just stalkers. It's not just a society of stalkers. They're the demon possessed. Alrighty, if you'll recall the evidence, I am waking up in the morning at this bus stop. That's 537 North Euclid Avenue. And the entity is rising the sun here. This is where it is now. This is the entity that's engaging what are all means of crossing path by those who are congregating at the venue, 9UUZ 706, with demons that are gang stalking, monitoring by taking a picture. It's use of a communication device under the fake sun. And these are the ones that are molesting with impossible light activity. They're mentally ill, engaging in vagina monitoring. They're violent sex offenders, and they're engaging in this conspicuously. They are absolutely psychotic. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in malicious activity, where you are aware of the fact that this is where the entity is engaging in the worship of Satan. Okay, so this is where you are mindful of the deception that is right in front of your face. In plain view, Satan is monitoring us. Okay, you are under surveillance in plain view, and they call it a church, which again has substantive value. Everyone uses words that they don't mean. Okay, so you know them, and you know them by their deeds. This is the entity that will speak something, but it doesn't mean that that is the case, and you are the spirit. This is the P.O.C. is providing you what is ongoing substance regarding the ways in which you ought to be aware of what demons are presenting to you, what they're communicating to you expressly and impliedly. And this is the same environment where I was this morning, walking into the venue where the entity was stalking by Southwest Airlines that's clearly not headed to a destination. And Southwest Airlines that in particular is stalking so heavily, you already know that they're stalking, but there's more than just stalking in a plane. There's an entity that is stalking. And the entity that engages in what Southwest Airlines is engaging in on video here at the same parking lot is telling on everyone. There is absolutely zero exception. Okay, this is the P.O.C. and this is stalking on the roads and the highways, 8WJY860, and they are, by virtue of this impossible light source, they know who I am. They're intentionally and knowingly engaging in that, and this is malice because it's appearing under the guise of this is traffic. They're strangers, not knowing you, not looking at you, not addressing you. That's the mentally ill population that committed assault with a deadly weapon, very much focused on me, very much hostile, as I published the podcast about a society of stalkers. The society of sex offenders are not limited to the age of majority. This is what you need to know. Not at all. Okay, their sexual violence is occurring amongst those that are under 18. That's because they're monitoring spirits and they're monitoring your genitalia, and that has a title under the law. It's called sex offender. And they are hostile because they are being referred to as what they are, and they are demons, and they are stalking. And the entity has ongoing stalking conduct by Southwest Airlines here. And that's what I'm documenting hours earlier. And I'm also present with regard to the entity keeping the fake sun. It's currently 1:41 p.m. where the fake sun is over me in a different city, such as in Upland, California, where the entity is gang stalking me. And you know what Fontana Police Department are doing under the fake sun at or around this time, 1:30, 1:35. This is an entity, or during the 1 p.m. hour rather. The two are not coexisting, and the sun would never be present over the same location in the morning like I have when I'm getting up in the morning at the bus stop, where those who are Christians are monitoring gang stalking for them to murder while you're homeless. They do not know Christ, okay? These are demons. And the gang stalking church, the demons that congregate, are creating the illusion, number one, that there is an exception as I am exposing the demon possessed. There is not. Number two, that there is those who are believers amongst them. And I want to be clear, the only exception is the targeted individual. These people are dead. And moreover, they're not even people, they're demons. Okay, the fake sun is here. Everybody in that church building was gang stalking me right now, and they go to the extent to prove that while Pastor Lee is reciting his pre-written prayers that the entity utters and repeats after, they're doing so while the entity is amplifying plane activity. And while you're crossing path right here, and this is the entity that is stalking in the sky space with plane activity, and that's the military. Okay, the homosexuals that are very much triggered by the truth that I speak, and they're obsessed with me as well. That's why they're so triggered, because they worship me, and they are demons that worship me. All right, and they are going to be inside of military tribunals, and they're going to be committed as well. And I've also told them that. while they're monitoring the one that has sentenced them. Okay, and they've been given the convenience of knowing about it beforehand. They are mentally ill, however, and this is speaking to what is martial law. This is the necessity of that while you are looking at that which is inevitable, that which is feckless. You're still stalking and you're going to prison. You're counting down the days and you're still stalking. This is the entity that's going to be locked down because they share the mental illness. So now we're beyond conviction. We are analyzing, creating policies to deal with a mentally ill and corrupt and demon-possessed population that surround us that we're no longer ignorant about. And it informs public policy. It informs legislation, local, state, and federal. It even informs what is no longer a privilege that demons have while they murder us on the roads and highways, and a whole insurance industry is profiting off of it. That's necessarily under the guise of what is no surveillance. Okay, surveillance directly rebuts car accidents and plane accidents. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. The entity's ongoing privilege. You don't have a right to drive. It's a privilege in the state, and when the state's a gang stalker, that is going to substantially change. This is the entity that's gang stalking in this video on the roads and the highways. This is P.O.C. It is currently 1:44 p.m.